Hi everybody, Steve from Steve's Makerspace. I am in p5.js and I have made a scene, a landscape scene. I can click on this and get a new scene. This one's giving me a random view. Let me change the randomness to false. And now I'm basically getting an overview. Just to be clear, I'm not making a game. This is not a landscape that you can move around in. It's just producing an image. If you are interested in learning how to move around or how to program stuff you can move around in, there are tutorials on how to make Minecraft in JavaScript. You can just look that up on YouTube. There's also a tool for 3D movement in p5.js, Rovercam. It was posted by James Dunn, but I think there might be other authors and based on Josh Castle's work. There's also this example posted by James Dunn of a Mazerunner in p5.js. I'll leave links to the GitHub pages on that. But I wanted something that was just simple to make. This is a little over 100 lines of code. So if you want to see how I did this, then let's get started. We'll start with a blank canvas, and I'm going to turn off my video so it's easier to see. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do 700 by 500 canvas. But we need it in a WebGL so that it's 3D. And we're going to need a camera angle. So let's do cam equals create camera. And I'm going to do no loop since I'm not animating this. And then in the draw section we need cam.camera. And I'm going to want a high overview of the scene. So I'm going to use these numbers, and I will show you in a minute sort of what these numbers are about. Let me see if I got all those right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's take a look real quick at an example on the P5 website for camera. And you can see it's got these various sliders. And this is telling you what these various things do, the X, Y, and Z, the center X, center Y, center Z. So if I move these sliders about, you can see what happens in the 3D environment. And I'll do this, and that, and that. So this is a really helpful example. Next, let's change this background just for now to like 150 or so. And let's do a couple of for loops. Now in a 2D environment you're used to doing an X and a Y for loop nested. In this case we're going to use X and Z because we're going to have depth. And the height is going to be a whole different matter. So let's just start for kicks with doing X equals 0, X less than width, and X plus equal, and I'm going to do size so that I can vary how much I'm adding. And then we'll put up here, let size equal 10. Now this is not going to work, but I want to show it to you anyway. And then we'll do for Z equals 0, Z less than depth. We need another variable. And Z plus equals size. And then another open loop, and I don't know why I have that bracket there. Why is that? Stop doing that. Okay, so depth I'm going to put at 400, I believe I came up with. And then we're going to make some boxes. In 2D you would make squares or rectangles, but in 3D you make boxes. But to place the boxes we first need to translate. So let's do a push, and then we'll translate to X, and we need a Y. Let's just make it 0 for now, and then a Z location. Now we'll make our box size, and then we'll pop. And so the pop, pushing and popping is whatever happens in between the push and pop, it gets reset to the original state wherever it was before when you pop. Otherwise, if you translate, your new location is going to be 0, 0, 0, and then when you try to draw another box, it's going to draw it in the wrong place. So let's just see what happens when I hit start. All right, two things to notice. One is that this is way off where you thought it would be. And part of the problem is that this is position 0, 0 when we start, and negative is up here and over this way. So when I made a 700 width canvas, this is positive 350 right here, and this is negative 350 over here. So the starting X and the starting Z need to be fixed a bit. So if we did X starting at negative width divided by 2, and then we made X less than width divided by 2, there we go. Now that's more centered. And we'll make Z less depth divided by 2, and then we'll go to depth divided by 2. Now, here's the other problem is we've made this the width of the screen, but you can see that it's got this blank space here. So we need this to actually be longer than the length of the screen. So we need something that I'm going to call overlap. So let's make our overlap equal to 500, say, and I'll subtract the overlap, and then we'll go add overlap over here, and we'll do the same with this. We'll add some overlap, and actually that's supposed to be subtracting, and then we'll add some overlap over here, and now it'll be a lot bigger. So there we go. We got a nice big canvas area. We've got a horizon, and we don't see any gaps on the sides. Now let's make it green, because we're going to make some grass. But I want better control over my colors, so I'm going to make a color mode HSB 360, 100, 100, 100, and let's add some fill. Let's make our fill 125, 160, and 100 alpha, and we get a nice green grass. And for our background, I want a nice blue sky, so we'll do 220, 100, 100, and now we have a nice blue sky. Next, we need to vary the terrain height, so we need to change this Y. So let's just start by saying random -50, +50, and we'll change this to Y, and we'll hit go, and you can see I've got a very bumpy terrain. It looks terrible, doesn't it? So what we need is some variation in the terrain that is more smooth. So we are going to use some noise, Perlin noise. We're going to need something called a resolution number, and let's start by making that 0.05. I'm going to need that in global variables. That's number 1. So instead of random, our Y is going to be some noise, X times the res1, comma, Z times res1. And if we just did that, the noise value would return between 0 and 1. But we want to multiply that by something. And the thing I want to multiply it by is a range of terrain height. So let's do ter range, and I'll add that up here. Do ter range here in global, and then put in the setup ter range equals, let's say it equals 100. We've got the noise times the terrain range, and let's see, that still looks kind of bad. Let me try lowering the resolution on that. There we go, that looks better. Now I notice that this is kind of a mirror image of each other. I think the Perlin noise is not quite working the way it should. I'm not quite sure why it's doing this, but we're going to fix it. So let's add a seed number here and a seed number here. And the seed number, first put seed up here, and then seed equals millis, which is milliseconds, and that is the computer's time in milliseconds. And we'll multiply that by 10,000. And this is to vary the noise. And hit start. And now it's not mirror image here and here. And we can hit start and you can see that a different terrain generates. We'll hit start again and there's another different terrain. Let's add some water next. So we're just going to say if there's a big dip, that's where we're going to put some water instead of grass. Now remember that y is increasing going down. So let's say if y is greater than, let's just say 5 for now. I'm not quite sure what the number needs to be. Then we're going to fill with a blue color. Let's say 240, 100, 60, 100. Otherwise, it's going to fill with green. Let's move the green over here. And see if we get any results from that. It's all ocean. Okay. If y is greater than, do I need to increase this to like 25 or something? There we go. Now we're getting some islands. Let's make it 50, 55. There we go. So now we get some areas of grass and areas of water. Now our water looks like terrain though. I want my water to be flat. So let's change this to, say, water, and we'll make a water variable. Let water equal 55. And then let's say if y is greater than water, then y equals water. And that should flatten it out. Let's try that. There we go. We got flat water. I don't like the lines in the water though. It's not necessary. So let's do a no stroke if we have water. And it's done no stroke everywhere. Okay, that's no good. We need stroke if it's grass, because otherwise you can't really see the terrain. Let's add stroke here, and what do we want? Do I just need stroke 0? Let me see. There we go. Now we've got our terrain back, and we've got no fill in the water. Now I want to add the possibility of mountains, of areas where grass won't grow. I also want, if the terrain is more bumpy, say we've got 0.05, that it doesn't look like this, because that doesn't look so good. So what I want is some gray blocks that appear underneath the green blocks, and then if the elevation is high enough, then we only get the gray blocks. Now the gray blocks, I could do single blocks, but I would like to do just a long block. So after we make our grass, let's just say, okay, this is the grass. We want to translate, and we're going to translate down from the grass, and we'll translate for the size. So we're going to translate down. Let's try translating 3 blocks. Oh yeah, and this is also a water block. Yeah, let's translate down 3 blocks. Then we're going to make a stone block. So we're going to fill with a stone color 220 and 40, I think, is about a stone color. I got an extra comma in there. And then we're going to make a box. But this box, instead of one square size, I'm going to make this a long box. And in that case, I need to specify the X and the Y and the Z of the box. So I think that'll work. Let's try. So you can't see the gray boxes. Let's change this resolution to 0.05. And now we can see that is like brown. I thought that would be gray. But anyway, you can see some stone underneath the grass. Now let's see, maybe we can do, instead of between 0.0, let's try 0.01 Oh, that is too small. Not what I meant to do. Let's do 0.01. How about 0.02, 0.03? All right. It still looks kind of crappy, but we're making progress. Let's see what would happen if instead of we just multiplying by the terrain range, we multiplied it by the terrain range times 2. Interesting. Now this noise is giving us between 0 and 1. What if we tried to make the noise between negative 0.5 and positive 0.5? In that case, we would have to subtract 0.5, and put a parentheses around this and a parentheses around this, and see what happens then. Whoa, okay, interesting. And if we change this to 0.003 instead of 0.03, that's looking a lot more promising. Let's do 0.005. Ah, very nice. I think we need to fix our water, make that 5 instead of 55. Yes, now we're getting our water back. Okay, now we're making some progress. What if we made this even larger, 0.009? Okay, now we're starting to sort of see some mountains. This is looking a little better. Now let's say if the elevation is high enough, we don't want to see any grass because it's too high to grow grass. Let's say if y is less than, and let's call it the tree line, because that's elevation so high that trees won't grow. If elevation is less than the tree line, because that's going to be a negative, then in that case, I think we just change the color of the grass to gray grass. That would be easy. So, right, this is the stone color down here. So we'll just grab that and put that up here. And now, whoopsie, doesn't like that. Because I don't have tree line defined. Let's make the tree line equal to negative, I don't know, negative 80. No, we need it lower down. Let's try negative 60. There we go. There's a little mountain in the background. Okay, let's maybe make negative 50 just to see more of the mountain areas. There we go. Very good. Now, I don't like having to keep hitting this button over here. I would like to click on the canvas to be able to get a new image. Now, to do that, I'm going to have to change this to a variable, and then we'll say canv.mousePressed. And if I press the mouse on the canvas, then let's just start setup again and see if that works. All right, I'll click on the canvas, and it went away. Oh no, what did I do? Oh, I know what's going on. It's not going back to the draw. I need to add draw here because I've got no loop on. So now let's see if that works. And I click on the canvas. There we go. Now I'm getting new landscapes each time I click on the canvas. Very good. Next, let's add some trees. So this is my stone block here. After we've drawn the stone block, we'll work on a tree. Now we don't want to draw a tree on every block, so let's do a variable tree chance, and let's say the tree chance equals a random 10, and then if tree chance is, I always forget that, is greater than, say, 9, then we'll draw a tree, but we also want to make sure that the tree line, we've got water, we don't want to draw trees in the water, and we don't want to draw trees above the tree line, so we need y to be less than tree line, and y to be greater than water. So if all of those are true, then we're going to draw a tree. So right now we have moved down 3 spaces, so we need to move back up. So we need to translate 0, comma, up, size times 4, I think, comma 0. Actually, we're going to need to go up a little bit more than that because I'm going to draw a cylinder for the tree trunk, and the cylinder, when it draws centered, which is kind of a problem. It's kind of difficult to place things when it keeps centering things all the time. But let's see if that works. We'll do cylinder. The cylinder needs a radius and a height, and the radius will make size, and we're going to need to make that divide by 2 because size would be the diameter of it. We want the radius, that's going to be size divided by 2, and the height will make size times 3, I think. And then let's give the cylinder a color. We'll do a fill 07030, I think. And I'm not just pulling this stuff out of the air. I've actually done this all before, so I'm just using the numbers I've come up with before. So this is my trunk color. And let's see what that does. I don't see any cylinders. Where are my cylinders? Oh, I think I've got this backwards. Okay, got it. Y is greater than tree line and Y is less than water. And tree chance is greater than 9, then we get a cylinder. Here we go. Phew, that's a lot of trees. Let's reduce it just a little bit. We'll make this 9.5 instead. Very good. We've got trees. We've got trunks, I should say. All right, let's just do something simple for the trees just to start with, for the leaves part of it. Let's just put a sphere on top. So we'll translate to 0, negative size times negative size times 3, I think. And then we'll do a fill. Let's do 120, 80, and 30 for our leaves. And then we'll make a sphere. And the sphere is going to be, let's do size times 2. See what that looks like. Whoa, that doesn't look right. What did I do? Oh, forgot a comma right here. There we go, that looks better. I mean, it kind of looks terrible, but it looks okay. It's something anyway. Now, I would like, instead of the trees being completely random, let's make the trees clump together into forests and meadows. And to do that, we're going to need some more Perlin noise. So let's start by just copying our noise function here. And where it says let tree chance, we'll put that here. And we'll get rid of the Y. And then get rid of the random. So that now it's going to be this equals the noise, but we're going to need a different sort of noise. We don't want this noise to be the same as the terrain noise. Let's add 10,000 to this number and this number. And that's going to give us a different set of Perlin noise. And for this, instead of multiplying by terrain range, I think we're going to want to multiply by something. The number I came up with was 14. I don't remember why I came up with that number. It's probably just trial and error. But let's see what happens when I do this. No trees at all. Oh my goodness, where are they all gone? Let's try adding the 0 to this. Okay, now we've got a few trees. Yes, and you can see that they're clumped together in a forest, and then there's space where there are no trees at all. Let's try maybe 90. Very good. Now, of course, I could do some sort of rule that said if there is a tree in within a certain distance, then don't make another tree. But that's kind of complicated because I'm not keeping track of where all the blocks are. If I was saving all of this to an array, then I could check to see if there's already a tree nearby, but I can't do that in this instance. Now let's say you want your leaves to look more like Minecraft leaves. That's a little bit more complicated. We'll get rid of our sphere, and I'm just going to copy in a bunch of code because this is kind of a lot. So I've just copied in all of this, and basically this I to J to K is filling in each block of the tree. Let's just hit go and see if that works. No. Box. Oh, tree size. I had decided I wanted different sized trees. Let's just skip that for this example. So I'll just change all of these to size. And that sort of worked. It's a little bit off. It's a little too high and it's to the side over here, so it's my initial translate that's the problem. Let me try translating minus size, and minus size maybe just times 1. Let's see if that works. I think that works. That looks better. So all this is doing, the tree has 3 layers. The first layer is just 1 green box at the top. The second layer here is 9 boxes. The third layer is 9 boxes. So this is the 2 layers of 9. This is the length of those 9 boxes. This is the depth of those 9 boxes. We're translating here and here and here, just trying to move from one position to another where we need to be in order to draw the next box. So I think that's all I'll say about this. And then this last one here is putting the cap on the tree. So let's hit a save on that. I think we're making good progress here. Now, one thing that I did with my previous example was I changed the color of the grass. I thought that made it nice. And I didn't change the color of the grass randomly. I changed it using some Perlin noise. So let's implement that. This is my grass color. So let's just copy our noise formula to here. We'll say, call this maybe G for green grass. We're going to have our noise X times res1 and seed. And we need to add another Perlin noise factor, let's say 20,000 this time. We'll add 20,000 here. Let's just get the number between negative 0.5 and positive 0.5. So we can get rid of this parentheses here and here. And so for the fill, let's do 125 plus 20 times G for the, this is the hue. And let's also vary this plus 10 times G and HSB, hue, saturation, brightness. So 10 times G for the brightness as well. Didn't work very much. What if I just increase this to 50? There we go, and then we'll do vary the brightness. Now we've got lots of changes in the grass. So that looks more interesting, I think. Not quite sure how long this video is going to be. I've been recording quite a while, so I think I'm going to stop here. Some things you could do if you wanted to keep playing with this. You could play more with the Perlin noise to add more variety, maybe add different colorations to the leaves of the trees. Another thing you could do is have 2 different noise variables for the terrain. One that just controls the bumpiness of the terrain, overall, and then another that controls whether there are big mountains or valleys. You could also add some clouds up here if you want. And then another thing that I implemented with my other code over here, let me bring that over. So this is the version that I've made. I'll have both of these versions available in a link in the video description. But this one I also varied the color of the water. I think that this is just random, it's not using Perlin noise, but this one is using two different Perlin noise variables to make the landscape. And the other thing I have in here, I added making a random camera angle so that instead of just having an overview, we could change this to true, and now it's just giving me random camera angles, and I can click and see like that. So that's kind of interesting. Oh yeah, and with this one I also varied the color of the stones, and this is just using a random color variations on the stone. So that's going to do it for today. If you like this video, you can give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Ring the bell for notifications. I will be doing some more art stuff soon, actually using this landscape. I'm going to convert this landscape into art. Here's some examples of what the landscape into art looks like. Comments are always welcome. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye now. Steve's Makerspace.